Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and to another how-to video. Happy August, happy back to school. I know some of you guys are excited, mostly the parents, and some of you guys are not, but don't worry, I'm going to get you back to school styling and cute as ever. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this cute little zipper pouch. It's perfect for holding all of your pens, pencils, glue sticks, scissors, erasers, you name it, it can fit. And this guy is completely customizable. You can add it, make it bigger, make it smaller. That is the beauty of it. This guy, it's a one zipper pouch with two little pull tabs, and it is a box style zipper pouch. So it has these boxed in little corners, which make it stand up on its own. It has great structure, and you can make it out of any kind of fabric you want. Denim, cotton. This is a canvas material, which is a simple lining. So if you guys are excited for this video, make sure you give it a big old thumbs up. And if you haven't joined the pack yet, hit the subscribe button down below. And all right, guys, let's sew. Okay, guys, to make your back to school pencil bag, you're gonna need two different fabrics. You'll need your lining fabric and your outside fabric. You can use cotton for this or canvas. I'm gonna be using canvas for my outside fabric and cotton, quilting cotton for my inside fabric. You're gonna wanna cut a total of 4 squares. Each of these squares is going to be 11 by 8 inches. You'll also need to cut a 2.5 by 8 of your contrast fabric or your lining fabric. And you'll also need a 14-inch zipper. This zipper I have is 22 inches, but we're gonna modify it to make it work for our project. You'll also need your standard sewing supplies. If you are using regular cotton for the outside of your fabric, make sure that you also have some iron-on interfacing. I like to use medium weight, and we're gonna go ahead and apply using the manufacturer's instructions. Go ahead and apply your interfacing to the wrong sides of your outside fabric. Since I have a canvas fabric, I am going to leave it as is. Or if you want a more flexible, thinner case, you can skip the interfacing. But the interfacing is going to provide some structure. If you've applied the interfacing, you've already got your iron on. So go ahead and take your small piece of lining fabric, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to fold this guy in half. And we're going to give it a good press along this seam. Now that this guy is pressed in half, we're going to go ahead and unfold it. And you see that nice seam in the middle, and we're going to take our edges again and fold them in half towards the seam on both sides, and you're going to go ahead and press this flat. All right, so now you should have 4 rectangles in your fabric and a total of 3 seams. So we're going to take those guys, press them in towards the center. So your raw edges are now in the middle, and we're going to fold him in half again, just like so, and give it one more final press. All right, so now this piece is done and ready to go. You can see he's folded in half, just so, and he's ready to sew. You should be good to just leave it alone. If you want, you can go ahead and put a clip or a pin in it to help hold it in place. But this guy is ready to sew, and we can go ahead and turn off our iron, but we are going to put him to the side for now. Okay, so now we're going to start piecing things together. If you don't already know how to sew a zipper, the package does come with instructions. You can just follow along with me, or you can read your instructions. I'm planning on posting a video on how to do this soon. If you guys would like to see that video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button so I know what you were looking for. So what we're going to do first is lay our outside fabric right side up and take our zipper teeth down, matching the edges. Then you're going to take your lining fabric right side down so that our right sides are now together and match the edges. Once you've got that all lined up, you're going to go ahead and pin along this edge. If you're like me and you have an extra long zipper, that's okay. Don't worry about it. We will fix it later. Okay, now that you have it all pinned out, you're going to have a fabric marker, transfer marker, pencil, pen, whatever you want to use, and a ruler. I'm going to use a Sharpie because this is the inside, the wrong side of the lining, So you're not going to see it. This is also a dark color. But what you're going to do is measure a 1/2 inch from each edge, and you're going to mark that on your fabric. Okay, and what we did with that is we made our start and stop point. So we're gonna start sewing here at our first line to our second line and stop. You're not gonna sew off the edge. So let's go ahead and head over to our sewing machine. Okay, we're over here at our machine. I have a coordinating thread on. My thread is going to be pink to help you guys see, but it will also complement the outside fabric. So I am gonna use my zipper foot. You can also use a normal foot if you want. And remember, we're gonna start at that line we made and stop at the second line. So I'm gonna go ahead and I am gonna back stitch. And I'm putting those teeth right up against my foot here. All right, I'm just using a standard straight stitch. I have mine set to about 2 in length. Raise that foot up and cut our strings. I did go a little bit too far, but we can undo those. But we've got a straight stitch all the way down the edge of the zipper. So now when we open it, your zipper should be secured and you shouldn't have any teeth stuck in the stitches. I got closer and closer as I went down and I almost got the teeth stuck right down here. So if you're doing that, just make sure you're staying straight. I am gonna fix that up a little bit and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now we're gonna start making our weird little sandwich to start attaching the other side. So we have our other outside piece, and make sure you're double checking your direction of your fabric if you have a pattern. So mine is pointing downward, so I wanna make sure I'm continuing that so they're not opposite when I'm finished. So we're gonna take our outer fabric right side up and take your sandwich that you just made with your zipper side, teeth down, so pretty side down. And we're gonna match those edges up just like before. So again, our right sides are together. And this is the right side of my lining. So I'm gonna take my second lining piece and put it right side down. We're gonna go ahead and match up these edges and pin. We are gonna use that 1/2 inch mark again, so go ahead and mark it again. Pin and sew just like we did before with our zipper foot. All right, everything is now sewn in one piece. So again, go ahead and open it up and make sure none of your teeth are stuck inside your fabric. And mine looks good on both sides, so you can start to see it coming together. Okay, now we're gonna move on to our top decorative stitch. This step is optional, but it does help give it a nice professional look and it does give it some more structure. So you're gonna take it out, right side out here, and we're gonna measure again our 1/2 inch. I'm still using my Sharpie just because I am not super worried about it and it's only I can see it if I'm looking for it. So make sure we're doing that on both sides. Right, coming back over to my machine, I am gonna go ahead and switch back to my regular foot. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna slide our guy over and I'm gonna use the edge of my foot on the fold of the fabric starting at our mark. And we're gonna put our needle into the far left position. My machine apparently cannot move it over to the left. It can only go right. But basically what you're trying to accomplish here is just doing a fine line seam that'll be nice and hidden, just to make it look nice and pretty. So what I'm going to do instead is move the edge of my foot to line up with the outside edge of my zipper teeth. And I'm still going to be starting and stopping at the mark we made. Again, using a plain straight stitch. So my needle position is still in the middle currently. Okay, and we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Okay, while I'm over here and we're doing top stitches, you're going to go ahead and take your pull tab piece, your little small guy, and we're going to do 2 decorative top stitches. So we're going to want to sew them right along the edges of both sides. So whatever you need to do as far as moving your needle, I'm going to go ahead and move mine all the way to the right. And put this guy under. And I'm going to line the edge of my fabric with the edge of my presser foot. And same thing on the other side. Okay, so there's our pull tab fabric with our decorative stitches on both sides, and we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next step. Okay, so I have my pull tab piece. We're gonna go ahead and set that aside for now and move back over to our pouch. So we're gonna open it up and we wanna start putting right sides together. So I have outer and outer together and both of my linings together. What we're gonna do is sew the bottoms closed. So we're gonna go ahead and match our edges on our outer fabric and sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and do the same thing on the lining fabric, but we're gonna leave 2-3 inch hole in the middle so we can turn this right side out later. All right, go ahead over to your machine, sew that, and I'll see you for the next part. Okay, so you've got your lining and your outer fabric sewed on the bottom edge. You've got your hole ready for turning. So now we're gonna start making, I call them little tubes. So you're gonna fold your outside fabric up and make a little tube, like I like to call it. Put it right in the middle here with our seam up. We're gonna do this on both sides. With our seams in the middle, and if you want, it's optional, you don't have to. You can go to your iron and press your seams open on both sides. It's just gonna help it when you're sewing your sides closed. Make sure your seams lay flat. So working on the outside fabric first. We're gonna go to the side of the bottom zipper, not where we open and pull with the tab. The bottom zipper is where we're gonna work. So we're working with our outer side, going over to our lining. We're just gonna get it up and out of the way. So I'm gonna fold it back and just kind of clip it in place out of the way. So while we're sewing, we're gonna be pulling the lining out of the way. So back over, we're working on our outside piece. We're gonna grab our pull tabs. You're gonna cut that piece in half. So now we have 2, 1 for each side. And making our pull tabs, taking the raw edges out, the fold in. We're gonna stick it inside the outside fabric, right, and line it right up with your zipper. They can be as long or as short as you want them to. And you're gonna wanna pin that guy. Okay, so now we're gonna go over to our sewing machine and we're gonna sew a 3/8 seam allowance all the way down, and I'm gonna back stitch right along the zipper to make sure this pull tab stays in place. And we're gonna sew through the zipper. Okay, so my battery died, so it's actually a new day, so the lighting is a little bit different in here. But this is what it looks like after we've sewn all the way across, holding back our lining. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side, except you're gonna want to open that zipper up just a smidgen. So just go ahead and pull it to the middle of the teeth. Now we're gonna go back to the other side. We're gonna sew this side just like we did before. So with our two little tubes, we're gonna pull the lining back, get them out of the way. Okay, so when you're doing this, be careful not to pull your teeth wide apart because you want to be able to use your zipper later. So make sure you're pinning this really well. We're gonna put our pull tab in just like before. All right, I've got those two pins holding it in place for now. So we're gonna go ahead and sew that 3/8 seam allowance right along that opposite side. All right, we've got both sides of the outer layer pinned. So what we can do now is just go ahead and take some regular old scissors, not your fabric scissors, and cut off any extra zipper that you have hanging off. We don't need it anymore. I need to sharpen my scissors, goodness. Okay, we don't need that guy anymore. I am gonna trim this side too, just a smidgen. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same thing we just did, but with the lining. So I'm gonna flip them over. My seam got a little stuck here. If I wanted to, I could go back and fix it, but what I'm actually going to do, okay, so what happened here is I sewed one seam open and the other side I sewed closed. So that's why it's better to press. I'm not super worried about it. What I'm going to do instead is clip this guy here. So he's not attached anymore to that seam so that he can lay flat. All right, so going back to the lining, same thing. We're gonna pin those corners out of the way and we're gonna sew the edge, except this time you're gonna do 1/4 of an inch. So sewing through the zipper, trying to pull back as much of that outer fabric as you can. We're gonna sew 1/4 of an inch seam all the way down both sides. I am gonna switch over to my 1/4 inch presser foot. If you don't have one, that's okay. You'll just measure just like normal with your seam. But with this guy, I don't have to measure. It makes it nice, quick, and easy. So going over to our edges, matching our edges, we're going to sew that 1/4 inch seam. Pulling back as much of that outer fabric as we can. Go through the zipper. Okay, so there's our first side. I did have some trouble getting all of this back. If you're like me and it's just close and you can't do it, that's okay. Don't worry about it. So we're gonna go ahead and repeat on the other side. All right, our sides are sewn. So now we're gonna start working on what's called boxing your corners. So this is what's gonna make your pouch stand up correctly instead of just lie flat. So what you're gonna do, take your ruler, your measuring tape, whatever you've got, and you're gonna wanna measure 1 3/4 inches from your seam, not the edge, your seam. And we're gonna make a mark. So what you wanna do is make a square. So we have 1 3/4 out and 1 3/4 up. We're gonna connect our dots. You're gonna do that on all 8 corners. So all 4 of your outer and all 4 of your lining. Okay, we've got them all boxed out and marked out. So what you're gonna do now is take your fabric scissors. I am only going to show you one corner of this, but it is the same process for all 8 corners. So working with the outer layer, you're gonna cut out that square. Make sure you don't cut your lining. Okay. We're gonna take our corner and we're gonna pull it open, matching these edges here. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and pin that down. And when you're doing your seam, I recommend sewing it towards your lining. It's just gonna help it lay better. All right, and we're gonna take it over to the machine and sew 3/8 seam allowance down this corner. This corner in particular is how tall or how short your bag is gonna be. So if you want to alter it, you can. Right, so we've got that corner all sewn. So when we flip it over, it's gonna help it stand up straight. So we're gonna repeat this on all 8 corners. I'm sorry if you're feeling boxed in right now. I really didn't mean to corner you. But now that we've got all those corners done, let's move on. All right, you've got your big boxy mess here. It looks like all of your corners should have been sewn down. Go ahead and give them all a check. This one here looks like it came undone, so I'm gonna go fix that guy. Yeah, check all 8 corners. I missed one here. And once you know you have all 8 corners fixed and good to go, we're gonna turn this guy right side out using that little hole we left in the lining before. All right, moment of truth. So I've got it right side out. I'm gonna unzip it. Turn it right side out. We're gonna double check all of our seams. Make sure there's no holes, but make sure you push out your corners. I've got a little hole here to patch up. Otherwise, it looks like we're good. So our zipper pouch is coming together. We have one more step, and that's gonna be finishing that hole in the lining. Now you can hand sew this guy closed if you want, if you don't want your stitches to show. But I'm just gonna go ahead and take it over to the machine. This guy's already pressed flat for us, and I'm just gonna sew as close to the edge as I can. So I've got the little seam closed. There's no holes, so we're going to go ahead and cut our tails. All right, there we go, our own little zipper pouch, perfect and ready for school. It's the perfect size to hold all of our school supplies. We can do pencils, markers, pens, scissors, all of the above. I'm gonna stick them in there, and zip them up closed. He's perfect, ready to go. If you're going to make this a little bit more personal, you can embroider a name on it. You can also give your zipper a little charm or something to make it pull easier. That is completely up to you to personalize it. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big old thumbs up. If you decide to make these pencil pouches, definitely tag me on Instagram at the Wolf's Den DIY so I can see everything you make. But guys, have fun going back to school, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!